Kia ora koutou katoa, it's Mrs. Goodson here, and this video is for Level 1 Science, and it's about writing an evaluation for a chemistry investigation. And our chemistry investigation is about rates of reaction. So the evaluation is all about justifying or giving reasons for the choices made, so justifying the choices made in the investigation by evaluating the validity of the method, the reliability of the data, and the accuracy of the measurements. So we've done a biology investigation and now we're doing a chemistry investigation. And in chemistry, the accuracy of the volumes and the other measurements that you make are going to be really important. So the validity is how you controlled things that might affect the reaction. You want it to be a fair test and only change one thing, and that's the thing that you're trying to investigate. The reliability of the data means that the investigation could be repeated by anybody, anywhere in the world, and they would get the same results. So reliable means the data from the investigation can be trusted. Now we use these words slightly differently to everyday life in science. We use reliable, accurate, and valid, and they all mean something slightly different. So reliable means that the data can be trusted. Accurate means the measurements are as close to the true value as possible. And valid means that you have actually addressed the question being asked and not been influenced by some other factor. So to be reliable, you do things 3 times at least and take the average. To be accurate, you take really careful measurements and you, for example, use a measuring cylinder, use a stopwatch, and valid, you keep everything else the same that you're not trying to test or measure. So what should be in the evaluation? An evaluation of your final method to justify the choice you've made to collect the data for your investigation ensuring validity. Describe how you made sure your results are reliable and that you have enough data to enable you to determine any trend or pattern or a lack of one. Discuss how you overcame limitations. So, if you have a problem, this is where you would discuss what you did. Did you repeat it? What did you do? How did you minimize possible sources of error? And how did you produce reliable, accurate results? Did your investigation produce results that can be trusted? How did you deal with outliers, things that didn't fit into the pattern? Did you leave them out? Did you repeat your experiment? And what did you do to make sure that your measurements were accurate? What equipment did you use and how did you use them? Did you clean out between trials? What did you do, etc.? Okay, so here are some words and sentence starters for the evaluation. So, in our investigation, variables that may have influenced the results were controlled by. If this variable hadn't been controlled, then this is a really important if you're going to justify to say what would have happened if you didn't do it. And the reliability of the results were improved by. Accuracy can be improved by minimizing measurement errors. This was done by. How did you improve the accuracy of the measurements? Is the investigation valid? If the other factors are not controlled, they may have an effect on the outcome. So you have to consider when you design of your method all the factors that might affect the outcome. This means that the measurements could be a result of one of these other factors rather than the factor that is being assessed. It would not be a fair test, and the results in the investigation would be invalid if you didn't control these other variables. For example, if your investigation is about concentration, and then if the temperature of solution A is higher in each trial, then the reactant particles would be moving faster and with more energy, and this would affect the collisions per second and make the collisions more effective. And therefore, that would increase the rate of reaction. It is therefore important to carry out all trials at the same temperature. And usually we just do that at room temperature. But this justifies why we make sure that they're all at the same temperature. And then what other factors did you control and why? Can you justify what would happen if you didn't control them and so therefore why you did control them? So, checklist for the evaluation. You kind of want 2 paragraphs that justify or give the reasons for the choices made in the investigation by explaining the validity. Was it a fair test? And the reliability of the data. and the accuracy of the measurements. So you want at least 2 variables. I bet you could come up with a few more. And explain what would happen if these 2 variables were not controlled with reasons. And when you're talking about rates, you want to link this to particles and collisions per second. Then you want to explain the reliability of the data, including how reliable, sources of error, outliers, and what you did to improve the reliability. And therefore, also explain the accuracy of the investigation. What did you do to make sure that, what equipment did you use, and how do you use it to make sure the measurements were accurate? So this video is about being able to write an evaluation for a science investigation that justifies the method and the results of the investigation, that they are valid, accurate, and reliable.